Well, hello again, the voices of the foothills. And guess where we are today? We are not performing, but we're in the Tryon Little Theater here on, I think, is this Trade Street? South Trade Street in Tryon, North Carolina. We're talking to a lady that I just met, and she's full of information about the theater, where there's always something going on. In fact, I think we're in rehearsal for something now. But just stay tuned and listen to what ConnieClark has to say about the Tryon Little Theater. I think Willy Wonka is our next production here, right?
Yes, it is. It opens a week from tomorrow, for heaven's sake. Yeah. It opens on July 18th at the Tryon Fine Arts Center and runs Thursday, Friday, Saturday at 8, Sunday the 21st at 3.
We don't know when you'll be hearing this. It may be it's past due, but just keep your eye open for productions here, because I have been to the productions here, and they are professional. And that's what I wanted to find out, Connie. What started all of this little theater here in this little town of population, 2,000?
Oh, boy. Let me refer to this. I was asked to pull together a history of it back in... was it 2005? I think it was coming up the 40th season of the Fine Arts Center, and they had a big gala.
40? You mean it's older than 40 years?
It opened on a snowy evening in February 1969. The Fine Arts Center opened with a production from the Tryon Little Theater of The Mad Woman of Chaillot. And as luck would have it, a blizzard showed up. And people were so eager to go and to see it that they ended up getting people with four-wheel drives so that people could park down on Trade Street, which was sort of level, and not have to go up over the railroad tracks and up a hill and blah, 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 to get around to the Fine Arts Center. So the four-wheel drive people were ferrying the others up, all in evening gowns. It was opening night, opening the building, for Pete's sake. And then the blizzard kept going to the point that people couldn't go home after they had a wonderful time at the show. So diagonally across the street, there was still the old Oak Hall Hotel, which is now gone. It's Oak Hall Condominiums.
I think that was started by William Gillette. Wasn't it something like that?
He stayed there. That's why Gillette Woods.
Yeah.
No, but anyway, so people who couldn't get home stayed at Oak Hall Hotel overnight until they could get home. That is how the Tryon Fine Arts Center launched. And then when it was coming up to the start of its 40th season, which was... 2008, 2009 season, they had a gala, and they had a lovely program that featured the history on all the original affiliates that got together to get it built. And the spearhead had been the Tryon Little Theater.
Where you had didn't have a theater of your own at that time, because you said this was performed at the Tryon Fine Arts Center, okay? But did you have the facilities you have now? I mean, the building, or where you...
No. They they went all over the place. Often it was at the Parish Hall of Holy Cross Church, for example. That was used a great bit. This is fun. I'll read this from the history that I pulled together. It all started in the 1890s in a building on Melrose Avenue called the Opera House. Around the time of World War I, the community's theatrical efforts became more organized in the Tryon Dramatic Society. Then in the fall of 1921, the Drama Fortnightly was formed, as every 2 weeks friends met in the Lanier Library to read plays to each other, each standing as his lines were spoken. Now this is fun. By 1922, the Drama Fortnightly was given permission to use the new parish house of Holy Cross Episcopal Church, with its elevated stage and space for an audience of 250. Soon memberships were sold, and the plays became so popular that the town was divided into two sections, A to M and N to Z. There were two...
What do you mean the town was divided into two...
Memberships.
Oh, really?
Yes,
okay.
And there were two performances of each play, and you attended when your name came up, period. That's how you could go.
Otherwise you missed out.
World War II ended the Drama Fortnightly, but then in December 1947, a movement was resurrected to get play going again, and that was the beginning of the Tryon Little Theater. And the first play the new TLT, Tryon Little Theater, did was Booth Tarkington's The Trysting Place, presented at the Parish House. Performances continued at the Parish House, at Sunnydale Restaurant, which now, thanks to Bob and Jackie Lane, TLT owns, and other makeshift spaces, but always there was a longing for a proper theater. And that's when then Ronnie Mosseller was the TLT person in those days, who really was at the forefront of the Little Theater's efforts. And then there was the Concert Society, there was the Dance Guild, there were all these other groups that all wanted a performing space. And they got together. I've been told by Ronnie Mosseller, that's somebody you have to talk to.
I've already talked to him.
Well, there you go. Talk to him again. Anyway, something like less than 3 weeks before the Fine Arts Center was supposed to have its first production, they still didn't have any seats in the auditorium, and they couldn't afford them. So, this was Tryon we're talking about, folks. So the word went out, hey guys, sponsor a chair.
Buy a chair.
Buy a chair, buy a seat for the auditorium of the Fine Arts Center. And within 2 weeks, it was fully subscribed. The chairs were in there. Show opened on time in a blizzard.
That speaks so highly, I think, of the overall picture for this little old dot on the map, Tryon. I say it's a dot on the map. We're the crossroads of the world. And we've had people from all over the world who've come here. And like Mr. Gillette, he got off the train, bought some grapes, and decided, I like this, and he stayed for a while. He was the original Sherlock Holmes, was he not?
That was, I don't know if he wouldn't have been the original. That would have been somebody in England.
He was given permission.
But that was the role he did for years and years and years and years. That was his big thing, playing Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, but it's are you a native Carolinian?
Can you tell by my voice? You answer that.
I have no idea. You sound like you've lived every place.
No, I'm not. I was born and raised in White Plains, New York.
Well, there's more people from over east here. I was going to guess probably Massachusetts or someplace like that. New York, okay.
Well, yeah, it's about 25 miles north of Manhattan.
Yeah. Okay. I lived in Middletown, New York for a while at one time, so I have a little New York too. What brought you here? And I'm not getting into your personal life or anything, but
that's the complicated part that got me here. Back in those days, I was married to a surgeon, and malpractice insurance was driving people out of practice in New York State because it was so expensive. Yeah. And it didn't matter if you were a brilliant doctor and never got sued. Tough. You had to carry these exorbitant policies. So we decided we can't keep this up in solo practice.
You did have to make a living.
Yeah, it was too expensive. And so then we were trying to figure out, well, where do we go? And at that time, we lived in Southampton, Long Island, New York, and the Atlantic Ocean was about 1.5 miles up the street. And the winter before had been grueling, and nobody in his right mind would move north and had it worse in the wintertime. But we still wanted 4 seasons, so we had this little pocket. And also we still wanted access to the ocean. It didn't need to be 1.5 miles down the street, but we didn't want Idaho or something. So anyway, then we had some neighbors who said, why don't you go look at Tryon and Landrum? Because they had been here, they were in a business arrangement with Tony and Madeline Wallace and the horse stuff. And so that's what got us here. We'd never heard of the place. And that was it. We moved here.
Yeah, everyone has a little different story about it. And usually they cannot pinpoint anything in particular. They just liked the feel.
That too, and I still, in fact, it amuses me anytime I go into St. Luke's Hospital. I remember...
I hope not as a patient.
No. I remember distinctly my first impression was, those are the shiniest waxed floors I have ever seen. I was so impressed I couldn't see straight.
Well, this is the first time I've heard this. You moved to Tryon because you like the shiny wax floors at St. Luke's Hospital. Ken Scholl will love to hear that.
No, that's not why we moved here. But my husband, being a surgeon, that's where he was
you were attracted
practicing.
To it. Right.
And so I went in the first time to see where he was going to be.
So he was on the staff there?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as I say, the stories that would make a book about the reasons people come here.
Yes.
My daughter and her husband came down from Cary. They had moved over from Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. They'd moved over here to be near their work. And they didn't like the big city bustle. They had moved from Cincinnati. They didn't need to have all that traffic and so forth. So they started going around, and they spent a weekend at Pinecrest, right here in Tryon. And that was it. They said, this is where we want to go. And so everything here is historical, it seems, and has a story. And I'm going to try to cover those. And I thought, well, the little theater goes way back, too. And I wanted to find out what started all this in this little bitty town. And you have productions. How many productions a year would you say?
Actually, what Willy Wonka that's coming up next is a youth production.
Yeah.
This is now there for a few years there. They tried having two separate youth productions, one for the kids about 8 years old through 12, and then another 12 through 18. And if you were 12, you were on the cusp.
Yeah.
You could one or the other. And that really, they take so much work that they have now gone back, as of last year, to having just one. But it's marvelous, and the kids do a staggeringly good job. TLT, per se, for its own regular season, does 4. So, used to be in the old days that it was the first week in October, first week December, first week March, first week May, like clockwork. That's changed because so many other organizations are active. So it's around that time, but it's not the same predictable times.
You've been here how many years, Connie?
Me, the moving van arrived December 1st, 1978, to be precise.
78, okay.
In fact, the sofa that's out in the lobby, I always say hello to it because that was on stage in the first show I did when I was in Private Lives in October 1979. That sofa, same upholstery, it's in great shape. That was on stage too.
Yeah. Well, you take good care of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm always interested also in the involvement the young people in this area have, and that has impressed me as much as anything. I think about the whole area is the way young people are offered opportunities.
Yeah.
And you know, a shy child or a young person, a shy child can have trouble in life if they don't get over this shyness. And you've given a wonderful outlet. I think it's great. I've seen some of the production thing, and the kids are great, and they lose all their inhibitions and become real live acting actors. They're very professional.
I still remember. Oh, it was such a change. This was now 1999. The summer youth show was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, and it was a superb production. But every year there are kids in it who have never done theater before. They don't understand what's involved. They don't yet realize everybody else counts on everybody else. So you can't go off and fool around and be an idiot because you're going to damage other people's performance. Right. You'll mess up. Because theater has the amazingly wonderful thing that everyone is working together to offer a gift to the audience together.
Yeah. Teamwork. Yeah.
Teamwork. And there was this one kid in particular who was driving everybody around the bend in rehearsals for Joseph until there was the first dress rehearsal. Suddenly he was in costume. He wasn't in his own grubbies. And there was a slight audience of parents who were invited to stay and watch some of the dress rehearsals before it really opened. This boy did a 180. Suddenly,
he became that character?
He became the character. He heard the laughter. He heard the applause. He got it. He understood. Oh, now I see what we're trying to achieve. It was fabulous. And you were talking about opportunities for young people. The lights for Willy Wonka, and they're going to be complex. The lighting at the Fine Arts Center is being designed by Sarah Siegel, who has grown up through this process in TLT as an actor and working backstage also.
What's his name?
Her name, Sarah Siegel.
Oh, Sarah Siegel.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she is designing the lights for Willy Wonka, and she's learned a great deal working with Jim Brink, who is the tech director at the Fine Arts Center. She's been on stage as an actor. She works backstage. So the kids have a lot of opportunities. It's not just a role. They can help in so many ways and help painting the sets, whatever, and be part of the production.
They're giving of themselves.
Absolutely.
And I think this is one of the important things that the young people in this area are learning. I mean, not only scholastically, because we have some great scholars being turned out. The school system, I've talked to Mr. Green, the curriculum director, I believe, and the county superintendent. His name escapes me. Isn't that horrible? But anyway, but I was so impressed. I just had to talk to these people because of what I'd seen from the young people in this area. And then when I saw what the theater was doing, and you're involving parents, you're creating ties maybe between parents and children that they sometimes don't have anymore.
Quite a great deal. And I know it's also interesting. It's for many of the kids, I think it's the first time they have been working with adults as colleagues, not as another generation, but colleagues working together to create a gift for the patrons.
Yeah.
And it gives a great sense of responsibility, a great sense of achievement, and just wonderful friendships. I have found, and so have my other friends in theater, the friendships. I know I made friendships in college decades and decades
Well, knowing you
ago.
just a few minutes, you would make friends any place.
But we're still friends.
Yes.
All those, can be somebody that I met 50 years ago. We're still in touch. We're still friends. We still care about each other because of this incredibly special bond when you work together to build a show for an audience.
Were you in theater in any way before you came here?
Oh, yeah. That's my master's degree is in theater.
Oh, really? What did you hope to be? I mean, what did you an actress or what?
Well, I've acted professionally.
Yeah.
I've toured. I've written 2 plays, solo plays, as Emily Dickinson and Sarah Bernhardt, both thoroughly researched, acted. I've performed them in 19 states, England, Scotland, and Norway, in addition to the stuff I do for TLT, where I've also directed.
Well, you're another program
So I've
just
done a lot
about
of
you.
I've done a lot of it, and it's always enriched my life. I mean, I think the first role I ever played was Mary in a church pageant, if we want to go back that far. And I still remember when I was 12 years old in the Girl Scouts being thoroughly annoyed at the other girls in a little 10-minute one act or something that I was directing for a dramatist badge in Girl Scouts, that they didn't learn their lines. I was livid. I'm 12. I'm mad that they are not doing what they're supposed to as actors. Anyway.
I acted once. Yeah, well, I did high school plays, but my first performance, are you interested in this?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very short story. It was a Pocahontas. And Hiawatha, I guess, was but it was just a little makeshift thing in the first or second grade. But I still remember I was to feed a hunk of meat off the little fire we had there, and I took a stick to poke it off to hand it to the Indian warrior. And I remember it fell off the stick onto the greasy school floor, because this was not done on a big stage. It was done in the high school or the grade school auditorium. Anyway, greasy floor, and I picked it up with a stick and poked it with my fingers back on and handed it to him. He was supposed to eat it. And then he started into the teepee, and it collapsed. That was my stage debut.
I wondered if his mother jumped up and screamed, "No, don't put that in your mouth."
She was probably mad at me the rest of my life. I don't know. I don't even remember who he was. But
That's
anyway,
funny.
but funny things can happen on stage. Sometimes they turn into really something that makes it real. I don't know what it is I'm trying to say. But anyway, but when accidents happen on a stage, and they do happen.
Sure.
You never know
Of course they do.
when someone's going to fall or whatever. But there always is a professional error that takes place that it's overcome.
Well, I know something that when somebody forgets lines, which can happen to anybody,
Yeah.
you can have been in a long run and suddenly you'll go up
Right.
and forget. And so hopefully somebody else in the scene with you will cover. Whenever I'm directing, I always teach people how to help somebody else. You don't sotto voce whisper their line to them. No, 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 no. No, you make up a line that makes sense for your character to say, that feeds the person who's lost the noun or verb that will let them remember the line they can't remember. And we always say, the audience doesn't have this script memorized. They're not going to know you just went sideways through that scene. Keep going. And the audience doesn't know. They have no clue that you had to just kind of dance around something, but you got right back on track.
Yeah, but I've heard this happens to the most famous actors.
Oh, yeah.
Forget lines in the middle of a play they've been in forever and ever.
can. You can, yeah.
Your mind is a wonderful thing, and it's a terrible thing to waste.
Yeah. I knew you were going there.
Well, we could go on and on and on, but I hope I can come back and maybe we can go off on a different time. Maybe we can get some of the people involved to talk to us about their experiences here in the Tryon Little Theater Association. Anything you would like to leave as a thought for people about the theater?
Oh, well, I could just refer to people if you have internet at home. There's a very good website that is put together by my husband. It's a good website and easy to remember. It's www.tltinfo.org. tltinfo.org. It will let you keep tabs on what's going on, when auditions are, when productions are. and just profiles on people, a whole lot of stuff. So it's an easy way to keep up with TLT.
Instant communication, our internets, aren't they? Well, I want to thank you, Connie Clark, so much. You've been a delight, and I had no idea I was talking to an actress, a director, a performer, a writer. So maybe we can come back again, and we can talk about your latest play that you're writing, and maybe will you let maybe the local theater group do a play of yours sometime?
Well, they have. Both Sarah and Emily have been performed at the Fine Arts Center.
Oh, okay.
So
that's a great place.
We've done that one.
Isn't that a beautiful place to
Yes, it
have
is.
things? That is just beautiful. I don't know. I call this a little Cincinnati because we have the music, we have the theater, we have all of the arts, the visual, the performing arts. We have everything you need. A small town atmosphere. You don't have to drive and fight traffic to get there. Yet we're accessible to a flight if we want to fly to Europe. We're close by, but we have all the amenities of small town living here in the beautiful foothills of Polk County in North Carolina. We want to thank you again, Connie, and we'll see you again with another interesting person next time you tune in. We don't know who it's going to be, but we'll be there with Voices of the Foothills. Thank you so much, and all of you have a great day.